There are many layers of self inquisition and reflection that you have to do to eventually arrive at this state. But loving anything, not just yourself, loving anything is just letting things be and seeing things for the way they are, right? So basically, when I look at a mountain, it's a mountain. If I hate the mountain, does nothing to the mountain, it's just a waste of my mental energy, right? It just makes me feel bad. And when I just let the mountain be, like, oh, mountain is there, it's snowing, it's raining, it's just sunny, oh, there's a lot of mushrooms. I don't cast any judgment on it, and I don't have any kind of agenda about the mountain. And if you can do that to yourself, right? If you can look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm just me, and this is just the way I am, and so, oh, great, I ate 5 tubs of ice cream, but that's just what happened. And, oh, I just cussed someone out, and I cut in front of someone on the freeway, and I caused a car crash, but that's something that I did, and that's okay. So, this is like an extreme example of loving yourself, right? So, what I just said sounds pretty psychopathic. So let me just elaborate a little bit more about how you arrive at this state so that you can kind of put it to the practice, right? Because conceptually, you know what it would feel like, right? You have an idea of what self-love is. But it's about understanding the mechanism at how you arrive to that state, I think, is more important. So, there's many methods to do this. There's many ways you can kind of arrive at the conclusion of loving yourself. But the way I like to explain the most is, again, a Buddhist principle. So, what's the core idea of what makes Buddhism? So, I can make up a new religion that says something like quantum Buddhism, right? And then I can give you all my sermons, and I can give you all my, blah blah blah, all my sutras and whatever. So just because I call it space Buddhism, or like quantum Buddhism, is it actually tangentially even related to Buddhism or not? So Buddha himself, before his passing, right, always warned people, his students and disciples, to be like, just because I say something, don't blindly take it in. Just because somebody said, oh, Buddha said this, don't blindly take it in. Look upon the Dharma that I have bestowed upon you, and see if what I said is in line with that Dharma, because I am but a messenger of the Dharma, right? Dharma is wisdom in this sense. So, when you look at the wisdom, and when you look at what is being evaluated, and you can see that they are kind of like analogous, they're just saying the same thing in a different way, then you can say it's related to Buddhism, right? So a big component of Buddhism that makes it such, one of the biggest dharmas in the whole world of Buddhism, is interconnectedness, and more importantly, dependent arising. Because this arises as a result. Therefore, if this ceases to exist, this will also cease to exist. That is basically Buddhism in a nutshell. Everything else is kind of like a way of explaining this in a different way, or alternative kind of a perspective. You can view the same thing, right? So, this looks like a small, like, circular thing to you right now because of the camera perspective. But if you turn it this way, you can see that it's a pen, right? But if you turn it this way, you can see it's like a black dot with something at the bottom, and so on, right? So it's the same pen. You just have different perspectives of looking at it. So just like that, dependent arising is the most important one. Why I'm saying this is because self-love actually, and love itself, has to do with a lot of dependent arising. So you have things that you are neutral about to yourself. Good. Okay, we don't need to discuss that because you don't feel bad about that. that leaves us with two other alternatives. Things that you like about yourself and things that you don't like about yourself. Okay, so they're kind of one and the same thing because pursuit of joy and pursuit of stimulated happiness is the same thing as suffering. But for our simplicity's sake, right? We're not trying to be Buddhist monks. We're not trying to be enlightened here. So practically, let's just disregard the things that I like because they're not problematic anymore. So, you have things that you don't like about yourself. That means, number one, you have these qualities, and number two, you feel bad about these qualities. And because you don't like these qualities about yourself, you start forming an identity around, I am a person that has these qualities, therefore I am bad. Therefore, I need to change something. I need to be something else in order for me to not have these qualities. So, these self-judgments and shame and these motivations to change myself according to some kind of a standard, right? That is what's at the opposing end of self-love. But, you see, when you come to truly understand the idea of dependent arising, you come to understand that everything happens for a reason. Basically, for something to happen, there has to be a precondition for it to happen. All lottery winners have one thing in common: they bought the lottery. But not all lottery buyers win. It's the same thing. Everything that is inside of me, every quality and every experience that I have accumulated over the years, happened because there was a precondition that made it happen. I didn't, but let's suppose I watched Deadpool and Wolverine. That means the movie has to be made in order for me to watch it, right? But just because the movie is made, it doesn't mean I'm gonna watch it, because I haven't. But in order for me to watch it, it has to have been there. So, just like this, when you get into the practice of looking at things from this interrelated angle, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect, and how the effect of something becomes the cause for next something, and so on, the more you realize all these negative qualities and all these negative traits that you have about yourself are actually just byproducts of some other things. And so, when you get to see that all the things that you don't like about yourself, you're not even directly responsible for, you can let go of a lot of a guilt around the qualities that you don't like about yourself. Now, this seems kind of unrealistic, right? Because that just means I'm a byproduct of my upbringing and there's no sense of self-authority. But the thing is, it's kind of true. You don't. Because why? You're not really aware of all the inner power that you can use to harness, that you can harness in order for you to live your life intentionally. So, it makes sense, right? When you don't know how to do something, that you would unintentionally invite the path of least resistance. So, when you don't know how to use your mind, when you don't know how to use your brain to the fullest, when you don't know how to work with your body to the fullest, what's gonna be the path of least resistance? Just living in accordance with society, just living in accordance with expectations, just living in accordance with parental expectations and such, right? So, the life that you are experiencing right now is a byproduct of you not being fully having turned on all the buttons inside of your brain. And the acts like meditation and practice and these things are all designed to turn on the buttons inside of your mind so that you can have better maneuvering of yourself. Now coming back to the psychopathic examples from the earlier, when I say, oh wait, I caused a car crash, but that's just how it is, and that's okay. It's not that I don't feel guilty about it, right? But I get to assess, okay, so why did this happen? Because I was speeding. Okay, then why was I speeding? Because I was in a rush. But was I? It didn't feel like I was in a rush. That must mean something inside of me that I'm not even aware of has caused me to speed. So that means I have a personality trait that is like rushing things, right? So that could have come from where? And then I introspect and I'm gonna just, fast forward and oh, my family and my culture, where I was brought up, they emphasize a lot of speed and they want always me to be early and never be late to things. So this kind of a quality has been ingrained in me. But now I understand that through this car crash, that these tendencies can also have these kinds of side effects of causing accidents because I am rushing. So this, in conjunction with being responsible for the damages that I have incurred, is what actually fixes my or addresses my behavior so that it doesn't incur the same kind of a karma, right? But if I'm just like, oh no, oh my god, I caused this accident and oh, how am I gonna pay for this? Oh, okay, so that's suffering, right? So you may be thinking, oh, okay, then I'm repenting, so that's good, right? But in the end of feeling bad about all of that, what causes me to change my behavior? Okay, so after the few months, after the year or so of feeling bad, what am I gonna naturally do? I'm gonna go back to my old driving habits. Because why? Nothing at the core really resolved that. It may because of some unconscious side effects, but it doesn't have a direct impact on the actual cause of all my actions, right? So again, meditation and Buddhist practices are all designed to get you to be better at this inquiring process within yourself so that you can do this like, go back and forth between the chain of interdependence. And that's how you gain fluency in your life. And the original question was, how do I learn to love myself? And that is the procedure in which you love yourself.